HDFC Bank MD and CEO Aditya Puri, who expects short-term rates to fall gradually as the Reserve Bank of India's intention, he says, is to lower it. He says that the recent steps taken by the Reserve Bank would help the economy gain momentum.
He increased the repo rate because that was to take into account that inflation, instead of going down, had gone up, and that was to manage the long-term expectations on interest rate and the long-term bond rate. But the other half of the glass was he also reduced the rate on the MSF facility and made a statement that there will be further reduction to a normalized policy depending upon the macro conditions in terms of the rupee rate, in terms of the fiscal deficit, in terms of the monsoons, in terms of QE3. So I think short-term rates will come down. Not immediately, because there's this wrong impression that when an action is taken, it will happen overnight, because it takes time to transmit. So is the trend, other things that I mentioned remaining equal for short-term rates down? Yes. Is that the intention of the RBI? Yes. He's got a two-pronged policy. As far as the long-term bond rates are concerned, they probably will come down in the medium term, provided the macroeconomic conditions and the other participants play out as expected.
Okay. And sir, are you seeing some amount of ease on the liquidity front, especially with the reduction in the MSF rate at the moment?
The rate of MSF doesn't affect liquidity, but what will affect liquidity is they have increased their OMO, and as money comes in under the FCNRB scheme, as well as what the banks have been allowed to raise, and it's swapped into rupees, we do see improved liquidity conditions. And if he continues to reduce the MSF rate, you can see within a reasonably short time a reduction in short-term rates.
And lastly, are you also looking at any fundraising overseas, especially since RBI has eased the rates as far as banks are concerned when it comes to borrowing overseas?
Absolutely. We're looking at not only borrowing overseas to the maximum amount possible. We are very actively soliciting FCNRB. Now, don't ask me the amount. Let's leave it at it will be substantial.
Okay. And so lastly, Finmin has also decided to give more than 14,000 crore into PSU banks so that they can go ahead and give lower interest rates to consumer loan segment. So would you also be looking at doing something like that? Because certainly the competition is going to get fierce from here.
Yeah, I'm glad you said they're giving it only to the PSU banks. So if I reduce rates, it will be based on competition because I haven't got any capital. But our rates are competitive to begin with.